Okay, I'm ready whenever you are. Oh, wait, for the me, that's right. Thursday.
Yeah. Well, I had travel practice out at the Osterville, and I was like, okay, I can do 2 places at once, but I can't do 3, right? So I dropped them off over there. It's like, this is where I'm parked, this is where I'll be. Act accordingly. See you in bed. I'll wait for Randy to get back.
Oh, we don't have Siri tonight. You just said take one of each and. I didn't grab anything. I'll go this way. You go the other way. She's protecting her pinky toe.
I am, don't step on it.
Oh, I just had my foot hit with a baseball.
Oh.
Just kind of crying by myself.
I got five on wrist and 5 on every go. I'll leave that part.
Hey. Yeah, no, look here, lost all my feet.
I don't know how hard my system is right with.
Are we ready, guys?
I think so. Is the sound on?
Oh. Love it, good job. Didn't recognize you, he's the new.
How you doing? Good, how are you?
Brian.
And how are you? How are you?
All right. Jerry will not be joining us this evening, so I'm gonna share. And we have Obi online. And it looks like we have someone else online. Muscle Man. Okay, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 5:31. May 26th. We're not doing citizens to be, yeah, right?
Up to you. You can't do it earlier at 5:30, but you can do it anytime you want.
Do we have any citizens to be heard? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, yeah, just
Right.
state your name.
My name is
Well, he
Mike,
should come up so he can he
That's
can be
fine.
heard in the,
my name is Michael Wolf. I live on Aspen Drive, lived in Moet for a while, and
What was your last name?
Wolf, WOLFE.
Okay.
And, I just wanted to make a couple comments about, I think it's on your agenda, data centers. And we've seen what's happened in Box Elder County. And, the citizens really didn't know what was going on, and I'm urging, because of all the side effects of data centers, I think Grand County is a ripe candidate that there will be entities trying to put data centers here. We have water, we have natural gas pipeline, we have that pipeline that goes from the Green River over to Thompson, right? I mean, we're ripe for people wanting to put data centers here. And I don't think that would be a good mix with our community. So I would urge you guys to do a more, recommend to the commission to do a moratorium for them. They use a lot of water power, all the reasons that I don't need to repeat, you probably know, with air quality and everything. Plus, I don't like AI. They're to run AI, and I think AI is evil. So anything I can do to curb AI, I'd be up for that. Also, I think you're talking about water tonight. Water, yes, and I think that's something very important, and that it's been neglected for years in this area. We're gonna run out of water. And I saw Randy's comments about, well, it's not part of the planning commission, but I think it definitely is part of the planning commission because you guys approve it or disapprove of development. What uses water development? So, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Ben, are you online for citizens to be heard?
Nope, I'm just listening. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, ex parte communications and disclosures.
I went to the last WISA Water Board, meeting last, what was it? Thursday. And I listened to them discuss our water, preservation element. I've got some feedback for you on that. Brian was there, he's the liaison as well, and then he kind of, last minute, we kind of got a thing where we met the next morning with a couple of their board people in bed. And they would just kind of brought up some of their points, and I think most of the things were brought up in a letter that they had sent us that's available on the minutes. Another ex parte, and I could just imagine if Tony was here, he'd be very upset at us. And be like these emails that are in between us, between that Obi sent and Randy sent. I don't know if we have to be careful with those being entered into a record as their ex parte. Because they were sent to all of us. I know that Tony is just shaking his head. I just thought I'd bring that up.
I do think that those were printed as well to be,
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
so,
They are as, it's part of the record when public comments are made, whether it's from the planning commission or from others. The thing they want to make sure is that all planning commission members have that, and there's not necessarily deliberations or a few planning commissioners getting together and emailing back and forth, but
Yeah, I definitely see deliberation
I thought.
going on here when it says, I will not vote, is a deliberation. So I think that's
sure.
something to be. Like, I don't know, then do we have to state that into a record?
And I guess this is a thing I don't know, and at some point, you're gonna have to tell me what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Because I get public comment, and last time the printer was broken and people were acting as if I was like restricting the planning commission's access to the comments, right? And wanted to distribute it at the meeting, and it's like, oh no, if you distribute something at the meeting, then the planning commission members don't have time to think about it and discuss it at the meeting because of getting it at the meeting, right?
Yeah,
So I've got that on one side, and then I guess Commissioner O'Brien didn't want his comments to be sent out, but I didn't know
yeah.
that, right?
I'm not saying, I'm just like,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
keep it
no,
all
no.
above board, do we have
Oh,
to
yeah,
print
yeah.
out like these emails and have them read into the record?
Yep, well, it would be attached to the record, but not necessarily read into the record, but we have those comments from each of the meetings that would be
Okay,
included in that background. So I guess I don't know what to do, if it's the planning commission public comment. And so one of the things we're looking at is when somebody makes public comment, that it gets sent to you immediately. Now, I'm like with you, that this should be, we pull out all the private information, people's phone numbers and their addresses and stuff like that. It has their name and city, And then that's collectively put together and then given to you at the meeting. But others have said, nope, it needs to be immediately sent to the planning commissioners, and if that happened, then somehow I'm subjugating
So,
the process.
But there's two things here. There's public comment that are non-commission people, and then there is talk between commissioners. I don't know, I'm looking at you guys public orders things. I just thought
Oh, yeah.
we should be careful. Tony always told us to not do it. However, I don't know if that's the proper advice.
Sure.
so
Could I, yeah, after you.
uh. One sec, Obi.
Yep, that's good.
Definitely have talked about in the past. As far as not responding to emails, I understand where Andrew's coming from. This may be something that we may want to consider as a discussion item for future, when we can all be at the table and see how we really do want to move forward with public comment. As a board, I think we need to remember that we are conducting a quorum every time we hit reply all, and we shouldn't be doing that. So that's my personal 2 cents. Trish, what would you?
And my,
I've had the request that, your individual emails be posted on the planning commission website, and I said, no, you can't do that because
I have.
anything you receive has to be received by everybody, right? And so then again, it's like, oh, I'm protecting the planning commission, but I'm not. And so you should be getting some test emails as we go through the public comment form on the website, and we'll see how that goes, but
Obi, I'll let you talk right after Trish does, okay?
people also need to be aware of any comments they make are public record.
That was gonna be, sorry, Obi, hang on one second. That was gonna be, my comment is, maybe it should be more in the forefront if you wanna make a planning commission comment. Big red button, just like there is a county commission, and then we just get them immediately as they're coming in, where the county commission is receiving those. So you don't have to be the intermediary. I would, I don't wanna have stuff on your back, Andrew, so, maybe you talk to Stephen, what you think is best practice, like we should really.
We've had discussions with him on that, because there is a difference between a legislative board, so people can email you all they want
Sure.
individually, right? And
Sure.
they can talk to you all they want individually.
Sure.
So we're
Right.
trying to get
Right,
kind of
standard,
response as to how that should be handled for
Yeah.
boards, and it's not just
so
a
maybe,
person can say, oh, well, you have to do this, or
Sure.
you have to, it's like,
yeah, I mean,
no,
maybe
this is our
decide
policy.
to make it a discussion, Megan, you guys could have Stephen come and we just solidify it.
I
So
just
we're
wanna
not
make
all-
sure we're all on the same page, but I also wanna be clear in that Erin is right. We do need to be very careful in how we communicate. We should not be replying all to any of these emails. But on the other side of that, if we're asking for comment to discuss prior to meetings, then we need to understand that those comments are going to be shared. So we need to pick, but we need to do that as a body. And today is not the day to do that. But Obi, I wanna hear what you have to say.
So I'd only say a couple of things. I mean, it's very interesting discussion. I certainly Andrew should have the right to send something out to everybody. It could start a debate, and it's my fault. It more than yours probably. I was trying to have these two things sent out so they'd be on the table as we discuss things. But it's in some senses sharing the opinion of me with everybody. But the really key thing I want to say is I think we need somebody like Chrissy or Stephen to come and say, for instance, hey, here's what went on. Does this violate something? Or is it even dangerous? Or what are the limits? Because they actually know, and it's the same thing with ex parte communication. On a legislative matter, seems to be a bit different than an administrative matter, than a land use decision. I'm not a lawyer, right? So, but I think it'd be very interesting to hear from them when ex parte communication means that you're supposed to be telling everybody, I had this ex parte communication. I'll give you one example. We go to workshops on the general plan. We're supposed to talk to citizens. They come up, they say, I like this one, I like that one. If that's ex parte communication, we'd have to report it. I believe it's not considered to be. It's not much different than a phone call. I quit.
So then let's do this, because there's clearly questions, and I think these are all valid questions. For future consideration, let's ask Stephen to come in and clarify the process for how we should be responding and talk about ex parte again, so we're all on the same page. Sound good?
Thanks, that sounds great.
That's great.
Sounds great.
He has been involved in the
Yeah,
deciding what to do with the webpage and the comments received on the webpage.
and then any questions that we have for Stephen, it'll be an agenda item. We can all bring our questions, we can all ask our questions and move forward on the same page.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
And maybe just to Andrew, if you're gonna be the one to contact Stephen, maybe he could do some research about what other counties are doing in the state that's working, we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Right.
Just real quick, just so on the line with county attorney, I don't know if you want to deal with this today at today's meeting, he's willing to come down, or if we want to put this off to the next meeting. But I think this would probably be best handled by him rather than us having a
Yeah.
discussion on it. Let's just let the county attorney weigh in.
So I just said that I want to put this on a future agenda item,
Okay.
have Stephen here.
Yep, I'll just
then
let him know,
everyone-
he was just available. So-
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll just do that at the next agenda.
and then everyone can bring their questions, because I think we all have questions, and I want to make sure everyone has their opportunity to hear it from Stephen directly. We'll address emails, we'll address everything. Yeah, okay. Approval of meeting minutes?
Oh, is there anybody else have?
Oh, sorry.
Anybody else have ex parte?
Okay, now approval of meeting minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Lisa sent them out.
I did, but I didn't include them in the agenda because we had set the first one in June. So,
So,
okay.
yes,
Okay, so then let's move on to presentations. Okay,
yep, nothing, I don't have anything to discussion, so.
okay. Any presentations? No? County Commission update? Trish, do you want to start?
Sure. Back up. On our May 19th meeting, the things that are I think relevant to you is we produced a drought declaration just past 7-0. Basically, this allows UDAF, the Utah Department of Ag and Food, to provide funding specifically for producers. That was backdated to April 1st. And then just, I kind of just looked it up really quick. Currently via US Drought Monitor, Grand County is in B3, which is extreme drought. This is long-term impacts greater than 6 months, both hydrologically and ecologically. Second, we passed a clean energy ordinance in this past 7-0. This is, and Brian, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong. I just was using, I couldn't remember. So I just used a quick look at the Sun News. This is an opt-out, or was it an opt-in?
Opt-out, so everybody is included in this. So Rocky Mountain Power should be sending 2 notices. And if you want to opt out of that, I believe it's like a $4 per month charge that would go onto your bill. You have to opt out of that payment.
Thank you.
If you opt out, isn't there a charge if you opt out?
Nope, if there's an opt out, that charge is removed.
I thought it cost $34 to opt out.
I can double check for
Would
that.
you please? That was my understanding of that. There was an upfront $34 charge to opt out of the $4 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Yeah, I haven't heard that.
And
Yeah.
then lastly, we did put together, working on the boat ramp, right there in the Colorado and 191. Quite a while ago when Elisa was here, we produced like a site plan for the future boat ramp, and so that group is getting together. A working group to continue that work, and the two of us will be the county commissioners on that working group. So that's kind of exciting because it's something for the community.
Is it on the north side of the river? The northeast
Yes,
side
yes.
of the bridge?
Yes. Yeah, kind of that whole junky,
Yeah.
the site
Yeah.
plan's really cool. I'll tell you, it's cool. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, just getting back to Rainey's point right there. So it was, yeah, it's a $30 charge if you miss the window. So when they send you those two notices, if you miss that window, you would then have to pay $30 to opt out.
to opt out if I miss a window.
If you miss the opt-out window.
Obi, did you have something?
Thank you. You're welcome.
That is exactly what I was going to say. It's a
Okay.
matter of, you get these couple of notices, you don't opt out, then later on, if you want to opt out, there is a charge. Yeah.
That's all I have.
Brian, do you have any?
No.
All right, public hearing. General business. All right, moving on to discussion items. Fair use and preservation element of the general plan.
Okay.
And, we've, oh,
Okay, I guess the first thing is, I just wanted to revisit the 3 guardrails. Is that what we called them that you came up
That's what
with?
Jerry called them.
Or whatever we called them. If we could just revisit those 3 before we start the discussion, that would be great.
are you?
Or you can share.
Or somebody, either the chair or Andrew, yeah. Or maybe Sarah, if you remember them. I think I remember it, I know.
wrote them down.
I can look at my
I
notes
hope
too.
I still have that.
Yeah, so it was supply, aquifer, and climate change.
No, yeah, no climate change, no talk about supply, and no talk about source protection.
Okay,
And then we talked about defining preservation at the beginning. Those were kind of the things I wrote down.
no climate change, no supply, no soil protection. Thank you, Sarah. Go for it.
Not that those aren't valuable, that's
Yes, you
just
did.
what we just
No,
agreed on, I
I,
think. yeah.
I agree. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, I think I kind of like to talk, me and Brian kind of talk a little bit about our meeting with GWISA. I think it's a good framing of how they're seeing things, and it's a kind of a key point of information. We got Ben on here too. So I took away a couple key things. Is they felt in this document, we didn't segregate culinary water from culinary irrigation and irrigation water. They felt like that was, they were like, oh, that's a kind of a flaw in there. You know, they are definitely, this is one thing that I feel like was the heart of the matter of this whole thing that I keep getting to. It's the balance of like, hey, if we say you can build 1 million homes and we only have water for 500,000 homes, should we be doing that? And Ben told me basically is it's their responsibility to basically meet that water demand need. So I look at it as we are like, there is a symbiotic, a Venn diagram of like where we control like land regulation and they're controlling the irrigation. I kind of got the feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian or Ben, is that the kind of the plan is we need to irrigate with irrigation water and get drinking water from drinking water. And that's kind of like where they're at. And they're looking at ways to kind of like make sure that happens. There is a logical system of curtailment that happens within GWISA. That was one thing they were saying. And then they were also saying dry well and detention, like they were saying there's some things that they have input in that would help recharge the groundwater aquifer. For example, dry well and detention ponds, which would be buildings, like building standards. GWISA has a system to distribute irrigation water and a way to limit it. Their research, their stats which I feel like we are basing a lot of our stuff on, are peer reviewed, they felt. And, another thing that they thought was, we should be careful applying landscaping practices to people that hold irrigation rights. That was another thing. And I don't know, Brian, if you want to piggyback on, like, you're definitely more tapped into that board.
No, I think you did a good job, Aaron. I really appreciate you coming out there and learning more. And I thought that we had some productive conversations, both at the board meeting and the day following. I think I sent over Andrew a copy of some of the comments that the board had. I think that they've been in here. I haven't double checked just yet to see where they were at. But yeah, the big confusion, I think, was some of the verbiage between the difference between agricultural water, right, and culinary water. They use outdoor. When they talk about one of the greatest opportunities that we have is to reduce that 65% of irrigation. It's not 65% of irrigation of the water that's coming from Ken's Lake. It has to deal with irrigation water that we're using when we pump water out of our aquifer to water our grass, right? Culinary water. And they refer to that as outdoor water use. So it's just a little bit different of a term, and I think that trying to clear that up in this document. Otherwise, I think that they were very favorable towards the water plan as was written. And they'd like to see it passed. Very similar to what we're seeing in front.
And it did send those comments out, but they're also over here on the table as well. Just I added in those sections of what they wanted.
And I would ask, maybe we ask Ben, if that's okay with you,
Yeah,
to say something.
was there anything that you wanted to say before? I would like to have Ben.
This is great, this is great.
Ben, are you good giving us some feedback?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate Aaron coming out. I echo basically what Brian said. I think that the plan as you have it now pretty accurately represents what our feelings are and what our practices are. I think it turned out really well.
Thank you. Okay, do we want to open this up for, well, we need a motion. No, we don't need a motion. This is not a
Right.
an action.
Yeah, and then we'll have a public hearing first next, but this is just a discussion item.
Okay, go ahead,
I'd
Brandon.
like to make a motion to approve this and move it forward to a public hearing to the county council.
Would that
It's
be
an
with?
action item.
Yeah, yeah, so it'll
Okay,
be
public hearing.
in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Public hearing in 2 weeks.
I like the document. Here's my thought process on it. And when I was writing my emails just to answer some things, and it's basically because here's how I see this whole thing. Coming from development background, and what I do there is when I go to a project, I have to come to the county with a thing called a will serve letter. That means the water and sewer guys have to give me a will serve letter. If there's no water, they're gonna tell me they can't serve me, ergo, I'm not gonna build anything. Okay, if I go to the power company and they say, sorry, we don't have the power, you're gonna have to build it to get it there. And nowadays, that's a lot of money to build it to get it there, okay? Got it. There's impact fees involved in all of that. When I do that with water and sewer, there's impact fees. So that will serve letter belongs to that group. The state of Utah controls what they do. The state of Utah controls all water in Utah, like it or not. Whether it's groundwater, river water, well water, spring water, doesn't matter. They control it. If you want to get a water permit, you don't come to this board, and there's a reason, because we have lanes. You come to this board to get a land use permit to use your land for what you want. If this board says it's okay, we move it forward and give a recommendation to the county commission. County commission takes it and moves forward. We're simply an advisory board for planning and zoning. I think we have to be very careful to stay in our lane, which you were just discussing it very well. I don't make water policy. I don't pretend to know how much water we don't or do have. I do know how to prove it. And that's drill a well. That I know, 100%. I don't have to guess. It's not a hypothesis. It's a real deal. I can tell you if there's water there by sticking the ground, pipe in the ground, find out. With that being said, I would like to pass this document forward for the county to look at it, present a public hearing on it, and move forward with it, because it's been worked a lot. We've worked it really hard. Obi's done an awesome job educating me. I like that. Obi, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've learned a lot. Thank you. I mean, what I'm trying to do is say, it's time for us to take this document, move it forward to the powers to be that actually vote on this thing and make it a policy or not policy. But I like the document. I think we should move it forward, and that's where I stand. Thank you, Ms. Chair.
First of all, I think we're really close. I mean, I think most people would agree that we're really close to moving it forward. Second, I'm gonna try to make this quick. I'm on a regional advisory council for the Division of Wildlife, and I take that role very seriously. We are not the lawmakers, the Wildlife Board of Lawmakers, but I take the RAC very serious, and so does that entire board. And I think our input is very important at a regional level to be moved forward to the Wildlife Board. Randy, I would not disqualify your power in this county. Don't take away your power. You are part.
My wife.
Let me finish. You're part of the planning commission. And the planning commission is a very big part of the land use authority of this county. Before it moves to the county commission, you do not want to take away that power. Because my guess, and I hate to be rude, if it was a different county commission, you want to have the power to send forward recommendations that you think are right or wrong. And in this case, it's the same. We want this fleshed out before it comes to the county commission. All the advisory boards come to the county commission. We want it to be as clean as possible by the time it gets to the county commission level.
I agree with that.
So let's just flesh it out. I think we're really, really close. And you are a very important part, and you are actually by state law, a part of the planning process. Am I correct in that? I believe I'm
Yeah, on
correct
this
in that.
board I am.
And so don't disqualify the
Mm.
planning commission's role.
Obi,
Yeah, I guess I'd say several things. I'll kind of echo Trish a little bit, which is to say, yes, indeed, we're in charge of making a recommendation to the county commission on a amendment to the Grand County General Plan. And I do take that incredibly serious. It's not just that somebody's talking about water or builders talking about building houses, or it's a very important job we have. Second, I think I heard Sarah say, I wasn't listening. Yeah, it was difficult to hear over Zoom. It's awful. I believe last time we made an agreement that here's roughly what we were doing. This is a water demand document. And we're going to talk about water demand, not get into that stuff about whether we're having global warming or not, which I think we are, but we weren't going to get into that stuff. We were going to drop the Colorado River. We were going to drop preservation of our sole source aquifers, which is where we get this precious drinking water. And we were then going to go ahead and do that. It's now, of course, changed course a bit. But I think we were very near in the past. The reason, of course, I didn't mean for Andrew to send it up, but it was very difficult for him to know. The part about protecting our sole source aquifers is because I wanted it to be here in case we all of a sudden backtracked and said, let's go ahead and put Colorado River water in there. I think it's equally important that we protect our sole source aquifers. I disagree with Randy. You know, you do have these state agencies and stuff. Cedar City helps destroy their aquifer. Oh my goodness, where was the state, right? If they have a bad aquifer, they were using more water than they had. It never hurts to have the county use its land use authority to protect sole source aquifers. Right now, you can have a place that kind of reprocesses processed water, which comes from mining, or you can have an asphalt plant up in that area, because we are not taking care of our aquifer, and it is not the state that's going to come in and change our zoning laws. So I guess I disagree with Randy on several points, but as he and I know well, That's not unusual.
I'm gonna kind of change the topic a little bit, because I was listening to you, Aaron, when you were talking about how WISA was talking that they have, water, irrigation water, and they have, potable water that they use in their housing. And I was always under the impression, I was kind of trying to find it, that, and developers would know, and I think you would know too. There was because people buy water rights. And when they buy those water rights, they can use them for their yards. And I thought at some point the county was requiring that if you had those water rights, or subdivisions had those water rights, they had to put in that secondary water system just for irrigation. Is that lost somewhere? Did that not ever happen?
That, I think that is in,
Is that
that
correct?
landscaping ordinance,
Is that where it is?
within
Yeah.
300 yard feet, sorry.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, I mean, it's gonna be a WISA thing, right?
Yeah.
Just because we don't do closed water,
Yeah, but there was something in our code that recommend, or actually required, that they went to GWISA.
go for this.
When you developed your subdivision, didn't they require you to use, did you have water rights?
It was in San Juan County,
It's in
the last one I did.
Because I think the subdivision, that Johnson built, the HGHL, he had, water rights to that property because they came from Carmichael. And I think they set their system up to do their, landscaping and their grass.
So arroyo crossings too.
Yeah, that's what it
And
is, yeah.
we can ask Ben.
And so anyway, I know that it was in our code, and it wasn't necessarily that we had to, I mean, of course, always, every process goes to GWISA, any site plan all goes to GWISA for them to approve it, usually through DRT, which is something that, Andrew will be going to, and anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I didn't know if anybody was, and ever recognized that that's already in place,
Mhm.
that they do, there are two different kinds of water. And I was actually looking, and I was reading it somewhere, I can't find it now, I have too many papers, that, I think they brought that up for our plan.
On these changes with the red
Yeah.
underline, yeah, I think that's,
I think that's what
they
they're
made
bringing
it really
Mhm.
clear, yeah, the
Yeah.
applications are good.
I actually really appreciate that they took the time to go through and add these changes, because I think that.
They're a big part of it.
Well, and that's why I think that it's really important that we pay attention to these changes, because they do hold a lot of impact on this decision, one way or another.
And it's also state code for that.
That's fine.
Okay, Aaron, then you.
So I kind of, well, Ben's here, I kind of have a few questions, because I kind of touched on this in their meeting, and then I kind of felt like they might not have thought about this. Like, I want this element to have something in it that says, we need to like really have cooperation with GWISA, and there's weird things like what I was saying about. So their irrigation water is temporary, right? And I've talked to you guys about, you can plumb a house using non-potable water, but it has to be around year round. So this is something that's like a building standard. And yet they can't deliver that water, but they have plans to maybe do that. And it's like if they were going to pump water from somewhere into Ken's Lake, it may be feasible to make it so that it was used year round. I feel like those are connection points that I'm like, oh man, if we missed that, if we were digging a trench for a pipe and we could put it 3 feet deeper and it would have allowed things, we need to like, I don't know what Ben would say about that, like support them with their kind of like water ideas about how we can do things. And then I had a question for
And that
Ben.
is on page 17, by the way.
What's that?
Water efficient building design, county will require the bridge, the installation of high efficiency plumbing fixtures and water efficient appliances in new construction. The county may also require the use of non-potable water for certain indoor uses.
Yeah, and so it's like, how do we get that? If the pipe's not there, how can I attach a house to it? You know, and it's kind of like, you know, it's really important that we support them. One other thing I want to ask for Ben is, you know, about this idea gap between them their ability to serve water in our like allotted development. Let's say a developer moved in. We have 1,000 ERCs left. Or, units of water. And somebody moved in and bought up 900 of them. Should there be like a little warning light, like, hey, what, I know it's all them, but is it kind of like, hey, we need to like think about this? Should there be like, I think it's called in Utah, a safety yield thing? Do we have to like, is that a thing, or does GWISA want us to stay out of this? Or like, I kind of want to be like, is that a concern, or because we're gonna keep issuing permits, and I'm really concerned about people sitting on their permits for years and years and then developing.
They can't sit on the permits for years and years, I'm sorry.
So-
A year to make their permit.
So you can have a vested hotel interest for, I keep hearing things like, oh yeah, you can build this, these hotels are vested, they can keep building. How long did that, like, I don't get, like, okay, Randy, I believe you, but no, I don't. Like, I'm sorry, like, the city talks about this handing all the time. Like, they had, when we did our data use, our study on housing, they had to be like, man, there's just things that are just floating here that haven't been acted upon. Yeah, I just don't know, like, I think that's like, I don't know, maybe it's important, maybe it's not. And I'd like to hear
Ben,
Ben say on that.
Ben, do you have any input on that?
I think I understand the question. I think obviously we do have to work within our constraints. Our board is looking to hold a workshop in the near future to discuss a better way, a method of tracking our ERCs and our availability and ability to serve quantity wise. So we're working that way, and we do participate in the DRT meetings. We do have, as Randy mentioned, the will serve applications come to us. If we can't serve them, then we say so. They have to find water elsewhere or sewer service elsewhere, whatever it may be. I guess, does that answer the question?
I guess what I'm asking, Ben, do you find with our side of things, we have to be careful about over allocating, like there's can be lost in translation, like, hey, we've got all these, like, do we need any system that's like, hey, we're getting close to GWIS's capacity? Like, do we have to wait till there's no more ERs, like, you can't put in another water meter? Like, how do we know that? That's what I'm saying. Like, do you think we should be concerned with this, or is it not a concern?
I think it is definitely a concern, and it always will be for all of us. We're pulling water from the aquifer that we all use. We
So
are
what's that
trying
mean in this water management plan then?
in your resource management plan. It's kind of two
Yeah,
different
yeah.
two
This
different
document
animals.
that we're making.
It's two different animals.
Okay.
Okay. Brian was next, and then I'll let you guys go. Okay.
So a couple of things. First off, Trish was talking about the powers of this board, and I think it is important to understand that there are a couple of different powers of this board. One is the planning and land use code that is most frequent. The other is the adoption of general plan. And this is really where we're at. This is not specifically just with land use code. We are talking about an adoption to the general plan. And so there's lots of different elements of the general plan that need to come up, right? And I think that when things like this come up, that we need to have faith and we need to trust into the experts that are helping and providing into this plan. So Andrew has gone to the experts, which is GWISA, who is then dictated by the state of how to control water. We need to have faith that the system that they had just published, I believe it was in March of this year, that this plan was written off of, is the most current up-to-date information. If we don't have trust in that system right there, then we're all gonna sit around this table and we're all gonna act like we're the water experts, we're not. I mean, I think that one of the problems is that we are jumping and we keep diving into the spot where we want to be able to create like our water policy. And that's not where our job is or our duty is here. Our duty right here is actually to take this policy, right, and move it forward. Andrew has done his due diligence of visiting with the water experts, right? Coming up with the plan and deciding for the entire county how we're going to use water, right? Everything seems like it's in order in the graphs that both Gwissa has provided and Andrew has reviewed and put through here. And now that's what's sitting here before us. Also, the other thing, I think that we had lost plot completely on where we're supposed to be at from this. I don't know how many people have gone back through and read the state code of what we're supposed to be doing, right? And that's really where we need to be at. Commissioner Hadeen right here, the first rural water meeting that I was with her, she made a point about how we needed to go ahead and get started on this. That was, I believe, March of.
I had the Department of Ag come to me and say, do you guys know that you're supposed to do this? At this time, let me just really quick, at this time, we had no planning, we had planning and zoning directors, you know, flipping over. And so it was like, no, I had no idea. So I was simply passing that information along. Does that make sense? I wasn't an advocate for it. I simply had somebody from UDAP saying this, you guys got to get this stuff done.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
And so we started in March and we've kicked this can around and around and around and around. It was due by December. We all knew it was due by December for at least 6 months. And we've gone past that. I would consider that December, that was the deadline to have
You
this
mean
done.
March of 2025?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
That's how long we've been on this, right? now.
We've got it, it's ready, let's pass it and move it on.
My question for the board is there a reason this was not on for a public hearing today? Was it just not noticed?
Yeah, we had the expectation that we take out the things on the source protection, climate change, and
Supply.
Supply,
Which
yeah.
we still haven't done.
Okay. I would just say that, and this is only one commissioner, but I am gonna advocate that if we can't get this through in the next couple of weeks, that I will try to move this through with an unfavorable recommendation to the commission.
You
Because
can't bypass the planning
I
commission.
can't, if there was a
No, you
deadline.
cannot,
Yes, I
Brian.
can, yes, I can, and I
No,
can
you
show you the
cannot.
code. Yes, I can.
No, you
Okay.
can't. They have to send
Trish,
forward a recommendation.
They do
Okay,
not.
Yes, they
so
do.
They do
this
not.
is not the conversation or the table. for
Thank
this
you, Chair.
conversation.
I appreciate
That is gonna be my intent, so I'd
That's
like
the way
to
to
see
share.
this move forward.
So
I,
one thought. First off, let Mary go, because Mary's had her hand up for a really long time.
I want to add a little bit about what Brian said, and kind of what Randy has said. Yes, the planning commission does have regulations and a process that they have to do, and I don't know where you come up with that, but the planning commission is supposed to recommend. And it can't just be bypassed, always has. You read this little book right here that we went to, you could find it in there. But I also want to recognize that this is a general plan update. I mean, an amendment. We're updating a general plan. With all this information, none of this is rule. This is not a rule. This is a guideline. The rules come when we do the land use code, and that land use code is coming. So all we're doing here is recommending, this is what we'd like somehow to bring into our land use code. And we are talking about that even right now, how WISA wants this in their code and we need this in our code. Water is expensive. We need to make sure we're doing it correctly. And all that stuff will be outlined in our land use code with the information we get here. But this is all state code stuff. Our information we're providing is very important. And even in the land use code, it says that that's what our job is to make sure general plans are reviewed and adopted.
And you have them,
And we have them.
so let's review them and adopt them and move to the next item.
But you gotta recognize too, they're not regulation. They are only guidelines.
It's just a guideline. How hard is it to pass a guideline?
Obie, I'll get to you in just a minute, okay?
thank you.
So
Pass it.
this is my concern we've spent a lot of minutes discussing, you know, are we going to include supply side? Are we gonna include protections? But the public doesn't know that. So when we put this out for a public hearing, the public has no idea where we're coming from. And they're just gonna see water use and preservation element, and it's going to get all kinds of people's, you know, backs up. So my concern is like how we present this to the public. And I don't know if it, I'm not familiar enough to know, like, can we somehow, you know, let people know this is what the state requires, this is what this document is, this is what it is not. So that the public hearing doesn't turn into public madness and, you know, we're having to explain ourselves why we haven't addressed supply side or why we haven't addressed climate change. So that's, I mean, I hope we are very, very close to a public hearing. But I'm concerned about what the public doesn't know that we've all been hashing out for months.
Yeah, I think Andrew could put together a little outline. It should be pretty simple.
They may not read it, Sarah, know that, but know that, but yes, you can put the
They're willing
information.
to
on.
read what they want to read and what we offer to them, and we all as a board need to be conscious of that when we are posting things online, whether it's to inform them or to comment on things. I see that happen often where a lot of these reactions from the public are based off of information that was received by someone within the county online. And I think that it is totally appropriate for you to say that out loud. We should say, this is what the state is asking of us. This is what we have done to prepare for that. Obi, I'll get to you in just 1 second, okay? There's a lot of feelings about this. I know that we have talked about this since January. I also know that we have had this. We should be moving forward with this. We are spending a lot of time in these meetings talking about the same thing and we're not getting any action from it. We're getting closer, but we're still going around and around in a circle because we keep focusing on the same things. I agree with what Brian says, where I think we have completely lost the plot. WISA's comments alone, I think, are something that we should be focusing on because these were sent as an email with changes, with their suggested changes. If we are wanting to, WISA recommended the following changes. This is consistent with the UCA 17-79-403 2D3, the community water system serving drinking water within the unincorporated portion of the county and request feedback. This is what we should be focusing our discussion on. We do not need to continue focusing our discussion on things that we've already talked about for 6 months now. Let's move forward with some constructive conversation on the things that we can move forward with. So we are ready for a public hearing in 2 weeks because we're that close. We don't need to continue to add this as a discussion item, but we do need to focus on the task at hand here. Obi, go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
Yeah, no, here's my problem. I think we were very close 2 weeks ago. I think and Brian and I will probably disagree with what I think the state's asking. I think they're asking about water demand for current existence and water demand in relationship to future growth and infrastructure in terms of you can actually use less water per citizen that way. And then of course, focusing on the county itself, which can actually take things on. So I think we've gotten too broad. Now, it's one thing, and that literally means Colorado River water is a new supply of water. And, you know, I'm going to state my thing again. Okay, then if we're going to talk generally about water, we ought to talk about water preservation. So I think what we've done is we've lost our way in the following sense. We haven't stuck to the guidelines from the state. And the problem, I mean, again, with all respect, is going ahead on looking at this one WISA thing is, whoops, what does it entail? It really is a kind of an introduction to the Colorado River water, which is one of the problems here. We can't agree on that. So I thought last week 2 weeks ago, we had said, okay, the focus is water demand. We can do that. And it can be uncontroversial because we can do things like say, well, yes, we want to have a functional turf, right? And these are all the ways to get to it. I think we can get a lot of agreement there. And no one thinks it's bad to reduce or keep water demand at the same level. And then we won't talk about climate change, so we won't worry about that part when we go to citizens. I think we were very close, but I think now we've opened it all up again. My 2 cents.
I disagree.
Do you mind if I respond since my name was used there?
Can I have Andrew respond or the?
No, I have 2 things to respond to. on
Okay,
that.
go
One-
ahead and respond, and then
thanks, Abby.
Andrew
But
respond.
if you read it, it actually states that there's 2 things in there. One is demand and the second is availability. So when we talk about availability, we need to talk about our water rights, both on the Colorado and the Green River side. Especially as those are becoming part of the futility of the Green River. Second off, just to some of the comments on Ludma right there, right? I believe that's what you were talking about. I'd like to read it right here from Ludma. If the planning commission fails to make a timely recommendation, the legislative body has the legal right to consider the delay as a negative recommendation and proceed with voting. That's from Ludma right there.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep, no problem. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
That's property. That's not identified.
Obi, go ahead, or Andrew's gonna speak and then
Okay.
you can speak after.
Yeah, so, I think Commissioner O'Brien, is your concern page 9?
I'd have to, not having the document simultaneously
Okay.
in front of me,
Yeah,
but there is,
so-
I think it's 3.1.
Okay, yeah, 3.1 is page 9. And so when we talked before, at our last meeting, and the commission chair, Commissioner Place, said, can we agree that we should use non-potable water for irrigation and potable water for drinking? And you said, yes, we can agree to that. In the state code as it relates to the water use and preservation document, it states that you have to consider sources. It doesn't say anything about considering climate change. It doesn't say anything about protecting sources, but it does say that you have to consider sources. And so when we looked at that, we or with the discussion last time, I was under the impression when you said yes, that you agreed that we need to look at non-potable water for non-potable purposes, and that we should reserve our drinking water for those culinary purposes.
So, absolutely, I agree on secondary water. So Ken's Lake should probably be used for irrigation, and the drinking water out of the Glen Canyon aquifer should probably be limited as much as you can. I certainly did not mean all of a sudden that I changed my stance on the Colorado River water being that secondary source. It could be. The other, I have lost my point on one earlier thing, but another thing I think we need to consider, and I agree with the emphasis, very important, is worrying about drinking water and this kind of non-potable water, which is in the Valley Fill aquifer or Ken's Lake, which might actually be able to be, caught up above and made into some potable water. Then if you're going to do this thing about bringing a new source in, then I think, well, let's also bring in protecting that drinking water. It is crucial. You do not want to pollute your source of drinking water. So I've actually maintained all along, fine, if we are going to go what I consider outside of the boundaries, water availability is a funny thing because it's got many kinds of definitions. We should really have definitions here. That is, water availability, I think from the water provider is, and what the county looks at it is, is water available for this project? How did we find out if it is? Well, Gwissa can get the water there and they say they have the water. That's what I think water availability is. So we may be in a definitional sort of thing. I think that may be what the state meant. But anyway, I'd be happy to compromise on dropping those two things. We'd be very close. Adding those two things, I think we'd be also very close.
And then, so,
And the two things are preservation and new source of
go
water,
see where we
because
are.
we're going further than what I think was required by the state.
well, the state does require that you consider the source. It doesn't require that you consider preservation of a source. It doesn't require that you identify climate change. It requires that you consider sources of water.
Yeah, I think the sources of water are the sources that you have. I don't think they were talking about, tell us about how you can develop new sources of water, or I believe they would have put it there very explicitly. And I don't think it's there very explicitly. My opinion.
Madam Chair, may I make a recommendation? Maybe we started this last week, we go page by page. If there's any issues, people present the issue, we do a quick straw poll up or down, and we move. And if we only get halfway through the document tonight, we may get all the way if we just move. You're the chair, you're a good chair, you shut us up, so let's roll.
Well, so that kind of relates to my question. I was hoping the chair or the staff could answer this question, finish the sentence. In order to have a public hearing on June 8th, ... Like, what do we need to do?
That's good, Sarah.
Need to accept this and move forward, get it to the county.
Is
So,
Yeah.
you can say, let's have this as a public hearing, and people can make their official public comments. You can hold off on the GWISA comments until that public hearing and have that as part of that public hearing and say, you know,
so
let's
we
hold
could
these for 2
send
weeks.
to a public hearing without having voted to approve these changes?
Yes,
Okay.
it's just, do you want it in this document that goes out? Do you want the document as it is? And then people comment on the document as is? Do you want to add in these comments? Do you want to take out 3.1?
I would like to know the least complicated way to finish that
Just
sentence.
move it forward.
Like,
As is.
yeah,
Move it
what do
forward.
we need to do?
I need a motion to do that.
So we can't do an action item tonight because we have it listed as a discussion item
Well, I think you could say we want to have this as a public hearing.
on June.
Just direct staff, yeah.
Okay, so, I think there's still going to be a lot of feedback on the public hearing and we're gonna have changes anyway. I will say it again, I think that it's really important that we consider these updates these updates that GWISA has provided. And we haven't even got to discuss those because we're just discussing the same things that we have discussed every single meeting about this matter. So I would like to see it go to a public hearing on June 8th to get feedback so we can move it forward. That's my personal opinion.
I think we could get there tonight.
I don't think that we have time to go. I get what you're saying and going line by line, but I think.
I don't know if we'll go line by line, we
Well,
go to a page and go to see if anybody have anything.
But what I'm saying is. We have done that. But we're not getting to a common ground. We can all get to a common ground somehow, but we are not getting to a common ground with the documents before us tonight.
May I make a quick comment?
You can make a.
Sarah, I will tell you, at a county commission level, what makes people madder than mashed cats is having stuff shoved down their throat. So I think that the more that the public can see that we worked through it, maybe we didn't have consensus, but we went through it, because we have not gone through the document.
Let's
page
go.
by page.
We have.
Then it makes I think the public feels better about that deliberation. That's, the more we shove down stuff in the And
But
just
that's
get it done.
what I'm concerned
That
about,
makes
is they
people
have
mad.
no idea what
We-
that background,
But
you
we
know,
have
what.
gone through this document. We have had multiple meetings where we have submitted comments, for feedback, or revisions. We have gone through this document.
So is the
But it-
GWISA, are the GWISA comments something we can just either like accept unilaterally or reject unilaterally?
I like it.
Or do
And
we
I-
need to go
You can direct staff to,
red underline by red?
Obi,
underline?
what
Yeah.
would you like to say?
I have the following to say, which is, that it's really important when you go to the public hearing that you have the ideas in there that people want in there. So we now have the water part in there. One of the things that is very important to me is to have the preservation part in there. I don't think it's objectionable, but if people do want to vote against that, that's fine. But when Trish says we can have a vote, I'd love to see it in front of people, because what's really difficult is adding something at those public hearings. It's easy to listen to people and say, well, we'll take a little of this off and put a little bit there. But all of a sudden, from 2 weeks ago, there's a Colorado River part in there, and there's nothing of preservation. So I'm going to really urge that the preservation piece be put in there. Again, maybe I actually think we aren't that far away if we'd make some kind of combined document, go over this particular document that we have, and we'd be pretty close. But it's really hard for me to see one of those added and not the other, and basically say, we're not really interested in protection of the watershed, but we're very interested in getting more water. And as I think we all know, we can do more than the one argument is we can certainly do more than the minimum that the state is requesting, but we could also just do the minimum. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Who else?
You
I've
gotta
looked
look
this
on your
document over quite well. And thank you, Obi. I've looked this document over quite well. It does pretty much what we're supposed to be doing. I love the additions that Glissa made. I'd love to make a motion to include those in this and pass it forward to the county. I think that we're there. We're not close. If someone will point exactly what chapter and verse they want to change, let's change it and do what you want to do. But it's time to go. I would sit here all night and go through line by line. I'm fine. Let's do that. If that's what we need to do, let's do that. But we need to do it.
yeah, I think
And so I put a motion forward with that included into it.
it's page 9,
Page 9 is a problem.
3.1, page 9, the non-potable Colorado River for.
Well, it's
irrigation
not,
devastation.
there's way more than that. So that's where.
So
I
what
think
is
we
it?
should-
Page 9.
Well,
That one,
should we
that one.
start with page 1?
Let's go. I like page 1. Looks good. What do you think?
Or, I'm actually on page 1, but.
I got it on page one.
So am I. I'm on page 1.
Okay, great. The only thing I would say on this one is on number 2, the county does not do own water rights. So I would just take that out. We don't allocate water. The rest is all good. I would just say we do own, so that's not factual. So
So sorry, what page is that?
I'm on page 1 and I'm on number 2. County does not own. That's not true.
That's
We
what.
do own water rights. So I would just take that out.
400 acre
One
feet,
word.
actually.
Yeah.
Why does Grant County own water rights?
We just do.
But the cemetery, we
Yeah.
own it for several, like.
Elgin, yeah, we own water rights.
It's
So I
about,
would just,
it's 400.
I would just take
Not
out.
Not a little bit. It's a
All right.
lot.
Is that good? That's all I have on that page.
It's perfect. Strike that. County
You guys
does own
good?
water
Thumbs up,
rights.
thumbs down? That's how I would do it. Just thumbs up, thumbs down, and let's go.
Let's take it, let's add it. Let's say county does own water rights and will allocate and minister water
Right here.
rights.
Yes,
Thank you.
I mean, I
Not a problem.
just.
I really appreciate that.
All right? How about the next one? 6, down there, page 2. Item 6. Okay. Page 3, documents review.
Hold on.
Am I going too fast?
One question is, are we receiving public comment, and does that include liaison comment, or is this planning commission discussing the item? That's,
Oh, you're right.
I,
what's that?
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, what is that?
Has-
So,
Trish is a liaison to the county council. She's gonna be able to make these comments at the county council.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think that's great.
no offense, I'm just
Then both of us are out. That's
trying to
fine.
say,
No, then we'll sit back.
If it's a discussion with the planning.
If there's,
commission,
if
probably
there's
wanna
something
keep it that
factual
way.
that I know, may I share that, like we own water rights? Nobody else can
Share
know that?
I was gonna ask how many.
I sent the link, yeah.
Okay, so we're on page 2 again. No creation, vesting of rights and entitlements,
Wait,
relationship to the order
Okay.
of plans and regulations.
hold on.
What?
What's your question?
So this is a, what do you call it, discussion item?
Yeah.
So how do we come to like, how does this actually work? Like, does someone make a motion and say,
Straw poll.
I motion that we want to send this to the public hearing? Like, how do we?
So we can discuss these items, we can make changes, and then what I would suggest we do is we let Andrew make the changes to be ready for public hearing on June 8th, and then we can open it up for public comment.
And those recommendations.
Comments, recommendations,
Better.
yes, but it would be like making these changes, maybe moving forward with that public hearing.
And so
And-
he would like, say tomorrow, whatever, he would make the changes and then post the new and improved document for public comment. So, okay,
But
Um,
Andrew, I'd like to know what your recommendation is at this point. I mean, you've written the document, you've been working with it. Are you okay with what Wissa has written?
I think there needs to be a distinction between culinary and non-culinary water.
I think you commented there was only one thing you didn't like, which was the title, section 7.
Correct, yeah, because it's just taken out of state code.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say reducing culinary water, it's
Yeah.
reducing water.
And
So on backing up page 1, I have a kind of real honest question for Andrew. The statement on page 1 says, in cooperation with the Grand County Sewer Service Agency, Thompson Special Service Water District, and Arches Special Service District. Okay. Do you stand by that? And do you think like cooperation, what like we don't want to ask Thompson and be like, hey, were you in cooperation? What?
Yeah,
Like, is that, like, that's a bold statement. I just.
I met with both of them.
Okay,
Arches didn't have like a meeting place, so we did it on Zoom.
yeah,
And that's when they stated that they're more related to sewer system. than-
cool. That was my
Yeah.
one question on
Yeah,
page 1.
so,
Okay.
so I met with this, I met with Arches and I met with.
And Megan, this is terrible. It's gonna be hard to recognize me, but I'm gonna flash like that. I actually did have one change on page 2, and I'm gonna now go to the document to find the exact place. So in number 7 on page 2, the relationship to other plans and regulations, I would do that water providers determination regarding their capacity and services shall prevail. Because I do understand what they're doing when you go to them and say, can I have a hookup? They're saying, yeah, we can provide it with we can provide that capacity. So I really I prefer to have it determination regarding their capacity and services, not just in general what the capacity is.
Okay.
Okay,
No problem.
good. I
So
didn't either.
on page 5, it does say again, the county does not own or control water rights.
The
The
wa-
start of
the-
the next to last paragraph. So if that really is the case, that should be stricken from the record.
Yes.
Okay. So everyone good on page 1 and 2?
Yes.
Okay, page 3.
I liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Page 4?
The
Or
only
here,
thing on
sorry.
that, on page 3, sorry, is that it's kind of like. Do we need to be like, this is what we're this is the document cited? Is that like basically what we think?
So they're not cited, but
Yeah,
They have been
Okay.
reviewed, and sometimes it is a summary that like for the state.
yeah, but this is the framework with what you worked on,
Yeah.
right? Okay. This element is based on, plan. Okay, yeah, okay, no, I get you, okay.
You good on that one?
Yep.
Page 4 is blank. Everybody agree with that?
I try to get those sections on the right hand side.
Well, we could add something in there.
But this page essentially like blank.
Okay, page 5,
We have the.
WISA has,
things there.
yeah, and then there's WISA's suggestions as well.
And
I put Glissa with there.
I personally would like to include what WISA has added.
I second that.
I agree.
Say.
Obi,
I'm so far okay, but I've got a couple comments on page 5.
on section 1,
Let me just see here. This is awful. As I go back and forth. Yeah, in section 1, I would
Okay.
add, I would add the Castle Valley aquifer. And I simply would note, other things are mentioned. in
Castle
the-
Valley is its own entity.
Okay.
We
Is it
can't do
okay?
anything for Castle Valley, it's its own entity. It's a township.
No.
It's a township. They
Hold it.
wanted it, they got it, good luck with it.
Yeah, Randy, hang on just a second.
It's
It's
true.
talking about the county's primary sources of groundwater, and that water services Castleton, Willow Basin, the Seventh-day Adventist, Red Cliff Resorts, and all other these places that are in unincorporated areas. And down about, I think, a paragraph or two later, they talk about Thompson Springs and places like that. So I really think it ought to be mentioned. It's got I think about 5,000 acre feet of water coming down, and it doesn't.
What authority do we have over
Does
Castle Valley's
not
water?
just service
It's about the land use thing.
Yeah.
Castle Valley town. Anyway,
So Moab City serves area in the unincorporated county, like.
Yep.
Out by where Lisa lives, I think Utah State University and the apartments there are,
But that's still.
but it's still, well,
but
that's right, that's what it is, it's Grand serves within Moab. I'm trying to get Moab serves anything outside of Moab.
There is an area along Fourth East where they have sewer service and then some mixed areas along, Mill Creek, like by Powerhouse, yeah.
and the Glen Canyon Aquifer, it services all of Moab. The question is this an important aquifer for other areas? Well, oh my goodness, the Glen Canyon Aquifer serves a whole part of Grand County, and this other aquifer, the Castle Valley Aquifer, services, I don't know, 200-300 people. What does Thompson Springs serve? And we mention it not in that paragraph, but below. But I won't die on
Do
this.
you feel like we have to address it in this document and being like, hey, this exists? Like these other aquifers exist?
Yep.
At what point, like,
Where do you want to put it? What are you saying? Tell me what you're saying, please, so I can understand it.
Yeah, all I am saying is you mentioned 2 large aquifers that are in Grant County. One of them serves partially a city. That's irrelevant in many ways. I'm not mentioning this because I want the town of Castle Valley, which has 351 souls. This is a water source, a major water source for at least that many people that live outside of the town. That's all. But I
So
won't.
we should just add Castle Valley and Thompson.
Castle Valley Aquifer.
Yeah, you see, we're omitting one that actually is relevant.
Okay,
That's what.
I'm fine with putting Castle Valley in there under those circumstances.
So can we just task staff with doing that?
Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Sure, he's got it. All right, good.
Okay.
Anything else on section 1, page 5?
This is, and by the way, this it's only these early ones that I had. I think I have something here that says 3rd paragraph from bottom, 1st sentence. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I see where that is after the ellipses, and it is. The purpose of this element is to integrate water, and I would just put demand considerations, not resource considerations.
Sure.
And
Okay.
if that's, yeah, was that clear?
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
And Andrew, you're okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Good.
Anything else on page 5? All right. Page 6. Aaron,
So, page 6, it has seasonal demand 2.1. Are we on demand section?
no,
It's-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Page 6.
I'm sorry. Yep, no, sorry, done.
Page 6, good, thumbs up, all good?
Yep.
okay, page 7, section 2, population growth and demand, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
So one of the things Glissa was saying about that load, like land use patterns and demand, I think we need to have in there. Low density development. That has access, like, I kind of thought about this after our meeting, it's like, maybe when we do like zoning and stuff. Your access to irrigation water should be kind of a parameter for lot size. Cause if you have an acre and have irrigation water, maybe that's the good place to put large lot residentials or and stuff. I don't know what you guys wanna do with it, but I thought it was something that kind of Glissa brought up. And it was like, I don't know.
That's 2.1 seasonal demand.
Yeah.
no.
Can I make a comment
Low
about?
density,
Oh, okay. Sure.
right, Aaron?
What's that?
The low density development.
Yeah,
Too.
yeah, and there needs to be a thing about like. You know, as much as I like high density and stuff, it's like there are two separate systems and we kind of need to think about that. Like, yeah, if you got the water in a large lot, or maybe that's a good place to put large lots is where there's a lot of irrigation.
Good.
So in response to that, I'm thinking about the, oh, what is that little booklet that's about the general plan? And it shows the high density being like all along 191. But that's not the pattern that the irrigation water follows. They can only come as far north as San Jose, and then they stuck a Royal Crossing in there. So those are at odds with each other.
I know, and this is kind of a thing where we like need to have a plan where we work with Glissa, and it's like, you know, Ben, what do you need to bring water to these large lots? That's where I feel like these two things could meld each other into like proper water usage. I don't know.
How do you propose we word that?
Well, you know, Andrew's smart.
Yeah, I think just with the low density development and then have an exception that says that,
Yeah.
you know, we're not trying to reduce someone's water rights or their abilities to use those water rights by lot size or something.
Yeah, and maybe
there should be
large lot
something
residential is viewed favorably in an area that has access to irrigation water.
You said it earlier, is we should be careful making people with irrigation rights conform to certain landscaping standards.
Yeah,
That's how you
I
said
said
it.
that? Man, that's smart.
Sweet.
That wasn't even AI. guys. Good job.
Well, the city also does that, by the way, because there's lots in my neighborhood that have wells. And they use those for irrigation. They pay a certain amount a year. And they use
So
it
they
for
don't have the
irrigation.
mud pool on the side. They have grass.
I don't get it.
Okay, is everyone else good on this
So
page?
page 7, I would do the first paragraph, second sentence, and then let's see what I've got. I've got analytic foundations for evaluating future water demands.
Yeah.
I think we want to
It's
focus on
it's
demands.
the first sentence in the first paragraph.
First, you wanna take out needs and put demands?
That's fine.
Yeah, water demands.
Oh,
Okay.
I see. Oh, yeah.
What else?
Because I think that's what the element's doing now.
Need and demand. Sound like
Okay.
the same word.
Anything else?
That's good. That's fine.
Next page,
What page are we on now?
we're on 8.
Okay.
Key findings, Obi, you good on key findings?
Nothing on 8.
Okay, Everyone else good? Okay. Section through page 9, section 3. I would like to include WIS's changes on page 9.
Like that as well.
And then. So on the source, what I'm trying to do is balance. Irrigation water and that switch. And I understand there needs to be some water from somewhere that aids in that switch. I don't know, that's what I'm trying. Yeah, so with the non-potable Colorado River water into irrigation, and so what I was trying to do is say, okay, if we're gonna make this switch, and we're trying to make this a major switch, that culinary water is used for culinary purposes and not landscape irrigation. And then, if we're gonna do that switch, and we're gonna have future demand for culinary water with new houses being built, do we have enough current supply to use, and maybe this is a question for Ben, do we have current water, current non-potable water that would make up the difference in what is being used for culinary water that's being used outside? Do we have enough irrigation water that we can swap that out, or is that something where we have to look at longer term, another source for non-chlorinated water or non-potable water?
Are you asking me that question?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we-
so
We do not have an infinite supply of Ken's Lake water. The lake is sold. We have 2 irrigation wells that supplement for residential secondary irrigation. We do have some remaining capacity on those water rights. That's something that we'll coordinate with planning and zoning on in the future, and we do through the DRT meetings. But to blanket statement and make and require that, I don't think that would be advisable right now, because if we're going to require it, we better be able to supply it.
So the long term is to make a switch so that no potable water is being used outside for irrigation purposes. Can it be done with the existing sources that you have? Can you make that switch? Or I don't know. So that's what we're trying to do there. Is to,
I would say no. We need additional source to be able to provide that to all of the valley and new developments.
That's why water rights are so expensive.
Yeah.
What's the solution to that, Ben? Is it to the county buy water rights and use them as individual irrigation water meters that you guys put out?
It's a complicated, it's a source issue. We can drill a well, we're still pulling from the same source. We need to be looking, and I know Obi doesn't like it, but we need to be looking at sources such as the Colorado River. We have to find water elsewhere.
Colorado River sounds like a good place to get it. There's a lot of water rights that aren't being used on that river, and we're the only community in the state of Utah sitting on the Colorado River. So it makes perfect sense to draw out of the Colorado River.
If we get the rights,
Okay.
well,
The county, you just told me the county had a lot of rights.
but they're already allocated to other places.
and I guess in that first paragraph of the non-potable Colorado River water, it does say that Green County holds Colorado River water rights. And
I mean, this gets to the question is like, does the county be like, hey, we have 400 acre feet, do we stop watering the cemetery so people can have rights? Cause we have 400 acre feet, you know, these are things I've thought about. Or it's like, does the county start, because what happens is with what we're trying to do is have these developments where they have secondary water, little purple boxes. And like. So like, let's say you had a hayfield, well, that hayfield was having water at one point, does do we like, be like, okay, we bought the water rights from that. That's water, it was watering hay, now you could water, so is that a plan? Should we be planning for that the county buy that? Is that kind of what?
I'm not sure that's something.
It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
I mean, it's like, we want development, so the county ensuring development would be like, yeah, anytime there's an auction, we try to buy something, I don't know, like.
Well, I think WISA buys up, tell me if I'm wrong, Ben, but when there are big chunks, you guys are buying water rights when they come available.
Yes, they do.
We participating, Trish, now?
I was asking Ben a question.
No, you just shut me up just a second ago. I just want to find out if we're
I was
participating.
asking Ben a question.
Thanks.
Obi,
And I had a just brief comment. There's actually two. One's a really disappointing one, but the first one's okay. No, I'm not actually against the attempt to get water out of the Colorado River. I just actually don't personally think it's very likely. But the one that's really disappointing is I forgot the thing I wanted to do on page 2. I won't do this again. And so when
Bring it up at the public hearing.
when we're ready to continue, if we could go back to page 2.
okay,
Can I tell you what I'm really afraid of is exactly what Andrew said. Oh, there's no water coming out of Ken's Lake. Can I switch it to my faucet on the front of my house to water my stuff?
Right.
That's what people will do. That's exactly what people will do.
Cross connections.
Well, no, not even cross connection.
But
They'll just be
yeah.
like using it. It's
Yeah,
like, oh,
it's there,
okay.
yeah.
I'll take it, and I watch that happen all the time. And it's just, it's the whole, yeah. Well, that was.
You tell me what if you want that
oh, I think it's
section
just,
taken out.
One of those
or-
rabbit holes we could.
It's a
You know?
buzzkill. It's like the crux of the problem. That's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Like, that's why I'm like,
Then
what's this?
GWSSA needs to step in.
Well, that's what they're trying to do with getting that Colorado. That's their solution to it. And it's like, well, if that's their solution, then I guess we should support them. What road needs dug up? What do we need to do? What money that needs to be funded?
And who's gonna pay for it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, you will. I mean, well, Grant County doesn't. Don't worry, they're gonna jack those rates up if you see the rate schedule, so.
all right, so. Circling back, page 9.
So this is where, this is where I wanted to go back to page 2. Is that possible?
Okay,
Oh, it's terrible. And it would actually be the thing that I sent out to people, and it would be disclaimer number 9. And I'll just tell you, the purpose of this was to say once, right there at the start, we're interested in water demand and not other things. They're focused on water demand. Actually,
He wants to add it.
yeah, that's still around. That's great. And actually, I guess the title of it would be, because it's kind of, each one has a title. The focus of this element is water use and water demand. I am not sure this is the best way to phrase it. But in terms of an individual water use is often expressed as the number of gallons of water used per capita. Water demand is the number of gallons of water used per capita times the number of people using water. In this element, water demand is typically measured in acre feet. This element does not address the issue of water supply. And I probably would leave off the very last part because water availability sometimes means something else. I believe this will, you'll probably still get comments from people about climate warming, but this just kind of clearly defines we're trying to be about water demand, not about how much water there is. Anyway, yeah.
okay, yes,
I like that. I think it does a good job.
I don't want to end it in a question.
I think he was, he doesn't want that to be in there. He was just asking how much there is. something that Andrew.
I mean, I'm saying, I think OB's disclaimer is good. It defines, it just gives some basic definitions like water use and water demand, and then just letting the public know, hey, this is not about water supply. This is a demand about.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay. I like this. Anyone else? Page 10.
Well,
No,
did we
hold
resolve?
on.
Yeah.
including
We resolved it.
that staying, or does it get taken out?
Sure you don't.
Are you talking about his disclaimer, number 9? or-
No, on page 9,
So
Audible
Oh,
Colorado.
oh.
So that section.
I
It
think
really
that's
talks
it
about
too.
supply, and it's like need to read what you're doing. I think that you really need to go through the start of what is being asked of you and go through that, because I think a lot of these questions would be answered, like I mentioned before, if you started from
I
the
feel
start
like
of what they're asking.
when we start talking about water, we start talking about supply and demand and all of that kind of stuff, that's out of our preview. Ben Musselman on there, those are the guys in charge of that. They will let us know what that is. That shouldn't be in every document because that is opening up to all kinds of questionable agreements and disagreements for people from everywhere. So if we start down that road, we're gonna have to go down that road, and I don't think we wanna go down that road. That's not what we're trying to accomplish.
Aaron, go ahead.
We're just not.
Piggytailing off that section 9, non-potable Colorado irrigation, I think it's like support local water services for achieving their goals of like claiming more water, would just be like, we support them. That's their responsibility, we support them. I don't know like how else you can, like, we're not, it's about source. And it's like, well, do they need money? We need that money, like if this plan is gonna work, they're gonna need solutions, we need to
Yeah,
find them.
I think
So-
that they approved of that portion. I think it's okay to leave that as is with their
Yeah.
addition, but I agree with you. We need to
There's
put,
supports of agriculture money.
we need to acknowledge
So did
That-
WISA say anything about that section?
only adding in the last paragraph. They didn't change anything other than where it says Spanish Valley that delivers non-potable irrigation water from Kent's Lake.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess ask Ben, I mean, I hear all your guys' thing about sources and all that, but it's like, yeah, you can put it all out and just be like, hey, whatever new source they find, we should help them with.
Right, I'm on the same page as you. I think that I also, but I agree with Randy too. This is something that we should stay in our lane. And we should follow what the experts are saying. Andrew's put in this work to meet with all of these. OB's providing information that is super helpful also. But if, I personally want to follow. Or want to include these for the public hearing, what WISA has requested. I think that's important to do. I think they've taken the time to review this document and provided their feedback. And that is something that we should include.
I agree, 100%.
Trish.
Is that, Andrew, does their comments have to be within that public, sorry, my brain started to fry. Within that period of time, that 10-day period to be
Was that-
included? Yeah.
No,
No,
because
if I'm talking about public comment, if you're gonna take their comments, don't they have to be provided in that 10-day period?
Gwissa?
These
No,
are
are
revisions.
you talking about Gwissa? I'm not sure. Are you talking about Gwissa's
Any public
comments?
comments, yeah.
Okay, there's a
No.
difference between
Be
any public
considered.
comments and there's a difference between Gwissa. So Gwissa expressly in state code.
Well,
it
it says
says-
they're, because they're water.
Active
Okay,
consultant.
that's fine.
Active consultation.
I don't need your help, Brian, thank you.
Water
You
systems serving
provided
Articulate
input, you
drinking
can
water.
provide input,
water
too. We gotta level this playing
It's
field.
listed in there that you need to work with them.
I was
And then
asking a question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
is the
yeah.
state law that
Yeah, I like it. It's good.
the water district has
Go forward with it.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
understand.
priority.
Tell us we're working with them, and that's what we're doing. It says it.
Exactly, and then it says these exact elements right here, and water supply is listed as
I
one
was
of those
asking
elements.
Andrew a
from the state
question.
code.
Thank you, Brian.
I was just answering for you, Trish.
I don't
Yeah,
need, I
I like
asked
it.
Andrew.
We can let the
Okay.
commission fight the rest of it.
That's-
We're going to do that.
I am
Wanna get it.
more than willing to do that.
Thumbs up.
Okay, so. Opie, did you catch all of that?
I think I did follow that. Of course, I'm most interested in the new 3.2 section.
Do you are you okay with the WISA revisions that? Are
I
you
think-
okay with me just making a blanket statement to include those? I know you have your own revisions.
Yes, is that, so, let's do this, right? This is about the drinking water preservation? Because would be the new 3.2.
My comment was to include all of WISA's revisions.
Yes, yeah.
You're okay
I
with
think I'm
that?
okay.
Okay.
Section
Can they
7.
come in?
Except for section 7, the heading that you want to change.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we need to continue going page by page, or are you guys, we do? Okay,
I think so.
okay,
We're almost done.
Might as well.
Yes.
okay,
We've taken a bunch of time already, might as well
Page
do
12
it.
blank, I like that.
so,
It,
okay, page 11,
so
Oh, wait.
it
I'm
is,
sorry.
it is terrible, but when Randy was back there being very dramatic, did he basically slide my page in there that talks about drinking water protection and said, let's go with it or not?
Page 2.
no.
No, you so that then my thing at this point would be to say, I would like the drinking water section put into the paper, so put into the elements. And I think you have that before you. It's really the reason I contacted Andrew to put that in.
Well, where do you get all of your expertise to be this guy? That's what I want.
Well, actually I serve on the planning commission. I've been head of the Moab Area Watershed Partnership. I've been on Canyonlands Watershed Council. I'm on the Water Advisory Committee for Castle Valley, and I've studied a lot about the protection of watersheds.
So have I. Drove a lot of wells too.
Yeah. So this
You didn't.
this does not take gigantic rocket science to say, hey, don't you want to look at the land? Well, don't you think it would be good in the future to look at the land use up in the two sole source aquifers? That's not
I have a
rocket
problem with
science.
EPA.
That is the land use code.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So it is already in the land use code.
Yeah, so we don't need to put it in there. Let's just.
It is not.
Hold on, Aaron.
Okay, so I have a good idea between you and Obi. I went and looked in the land use code about where it says sole source aquifer, and it mentions it a few times.
Yeah.
It says that, you can't in Article 3.2.4, you can't have commercial ponds, commercial injection wells. Aquifer recharge zones are to be avoided. Master plan identification of aquifer on constrained lands.
Now, where
Now,
are you?
when Obi puts on there, we'll consider ways of extending land use protections. Randy here hears regulation and he doesn't like it, right?
You're correct.
Yeah, because it's like there's a balance between the public good and private property. So, I think but we do have to like sole source aquifers, to me. I mean, okay, this is where I'm gonna put my 2 cents in here. Yes, we need to protect them, but we need to protect them the right way. So if there's some antiquated law that says there's new septic system, basically the main hang up is septic, right? And there's new septic systems all the time designing. I feel like we should have in there something like, we need to really consider if we're going to have sole source aquifers, what's the most effective, efficient, and prosperous way we can have land use protections, and those need to be constantly reviewed as technology keeps going on. I feel like that would satisfy Randy, and it's kind of the balance between Randy and Obi on that. So,
Okay.
I just kind of like, maybe that's the language up to date, because we have antiquated stuff. We have antiquated design systems for this antiquated design standards. And it's like, well, what's the best ones right now? If Randy can prove, I just feel that like these sole source aquifer things are mentioned, but they're also like the septic tank thing is the big hang up, like in commercial injection wells, But like that, like there's engineering things and it's like, there's design standards. I feel like that's the main hangup between you two. If like you could provide it safe, okay, like, I don't know.
Obi, how do you, I've thought about this too, because
Yeah.
I know that it is in the land use code. How do you feel about this language being considered as part of the land use code update when we get to those portions about the sole source aquifers? Is that what you're
That's why I'm
proposing?
saying this is a guideline, and the guideline should say, we need to like have like systems pointed towards maximum use. Or something that's, gonna make, it preserves it, but also like
Right.
allows things. Cause it's the stagnation issue.
I would say, I guess I'd say two things. Again, there's actually four things here, right? So, and Randy disagrees with many of them probably, but that's focusing on land use. It doesn't say what those rules might be. It says it's time for the county to take a look and look at preservation for, what kinds of things could help be used to preserve those two sole source aquifers.
Says
It may be,
Gotta take that out.
it
I
may
can't
be,
agree with the EPA.
I'm sorry.
Can't do it.
Go ahead, Obi.
So that's all it says is that the county should take a look at this. Right now, we have conditional uses up there that I think could be very destructive to the aquifer. Am I suggesting which ones should be taken out or what those protections might be? No, only that the county looks at them. And yes, if it's in this document, same kind of thing, you could take the Colorado River stuff and say, well, why don't we do it as some kind of land use code or some resolution out of the commission? But of course, this is actually going into the general plan. It makes it quite important. So if it's going to be updated in the loop, that's great that it's in the general plan. So I would love to see it in this document.
Okay.
And I think we could probably do a quick poll and see if people want it included or not included.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes,
so when I was working on this, of course, I reviewed the new town of Castle Valley's water management plan that was
Yes.
adopted.
yes.
And in there, it talks about requesting that the Department of Water rights close the aquifer.
Yeah, they aren't
Is
going to
that-
do that.
What's that?
They won't be doing that. It really is a way of trying to say that we actually want to have not a lot of more water rights given out in our watershed. I don't know that any water rights
Because,
should be given out.
I mean, obviously, the easiest way to preserve aquifer is to not allow anything to go in there or anything be taken out. And so
Yes.
I guess that's gonna be the thing when we talk about preservation is preservation then that we want the Department of Water rights to close the system here and not allow.
I would
anymore?
not, I would think that is an entirely politically different matter than land use code. You'll never do that through your land use code. And I'm really just focusing on what the document here is very good about saying, hey, the county's way of getting things is through land use code. Closing aquifers is something the Division of Water Rights does, not land use code.
But it is in the town's water management plan.
Yes, it is in the town's water management plan that we don't want a lot of water rights taken up above us. We actually need the flow of water to keep the total dissolved solids at bay on the sides. We have a real problem with having fresh water, and it really is only kind of in the center of the town of Castle Valley that we have good water. So we don't want a lot of water used up above us. That's true. But we're not doing that through land use codes, and the county isn't either.
Okay, Sarah.
So my question is, at the last meeting, we put up 3 guardrails, which we weren't gonna talk about. One of them was source protection. So while I think your comments are great, Obi, and they're important, I thought we had decided that this was not going to be part of the document.
I
That's what
thought
we
we had
decided.
decided that the Colorado River wasn't. So here's what's actually kind of happened, Sarah. For me, I believe that this should be a water demand document, period.
Can't do that.
That's what it ought to be. On the other hand, if we're going to put things onto this legislation, or this not legislation, this amendment to the general plan that are outside of that scope, well, then I'm going to say, well, then as long as we're doing in that process, let's also get this added. I think it's of equal importance. So I would say, yeah, 2 weeks ago, I thought we're going to remove both of them, and I thought everybody agreed on it. And I worried that, this week that wouldn't happen. That is, we would be having Colorado River water in there, then we ought to give it an equal chance to preservation. So I do understand what you're saying, but that's kind of where I come down on this issue.
Okay. Go ahead.
One comment, this is just for Randy, the EPA, that's the actual official designation. So it's not like we're saying it's the EPA, it is an official designation. That's why that term is in there. It's a fact.
Yeah.
So since this is the first thing that I think we're not all in agreement on, sorry, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, just 1 second. Once again, like I was saying, to read what you're actually required to do right there. So let's go through these just real quick. Effect of permitted development on water demand and infrastructure. Methods for reducing water demand, per capita consumption, and future development. Methods for reducing water demand and per capita consumption for existing development. Opportunities to modify operations or eliminate, reduce conditions that waste water. That's what you're looking at. Additionally, active consultation with public water systems serving your community should occur. Coordination should include, now this is from the coordination, water supply, drinking water sources, storage capacity, distribution planning, current master plans, infrastructure asset management, impact fees, and facility plans.
Can you repeat point 1 again, Brian? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, no problem. Effect of permitted development on water demand and infrastructure. Right, so guys, I want you guys to make sure that you're sticking into that focus, because as we've been going around, you're losing the plot as we're going through,
Yeah.
as I've said. I didn't see where we talk about sole source or protections of aquifers inside of here. It's not listed on this right here. Now, whether you guys add that or not, that's your body to decide, right? But it's not listed in what you're trying to do. It does say in here that we will consult with our water suppliers, right? And ask them for what they're talking about for water supply, sources, all of that is listed in here. And if we look at WIS's priority list that they've just submitted, these items are on their priority list. So I would just say that we kind of stick to our lane of where we should be at with this.
So, Aaron, I really appreciate that you came up with a solution for both Randy and Obi, because I hear what both of you are saying. I see what both of you are trying to accomplish. I am going to go back to the very first meeting where we first brought this up in January and remind everyone that we discussed preservation and protection are not the same thing. And I know why you want to stress the importance of having this in a document, Obi. I personally don't feel that this is the document for this, but I don't think that it doesn't belong somewhere in the land use code or, well, in the land use code. That's my personal thought. Since we're not all on the same page for this one, are we okay doing a straw poll to either include this for the public hearing for public comment.
Just the sole source, huh?
Yeah.
Just section, the proposed section 3.2 edition. Because we've been able to agree on all of the.
Point one. And I'm kind of like, all right, bullet point one, I got my things, and then there's
Okay.
4 more bullet points.
Well, so then let's talk about that, because if we want to do a straw poll to have this included or excluded from the revisions for the public hearing, then we've already crossed that off of our to-do list
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the 3.2
that OB has proposed.
okay,
Can I just say one thing? Yeah, I'm all for, I think we should straw poll this. I do want to remind you that at that first meeting, we came out with about a 10-pager that had both of them in it. Both of them were in the
Right.
original document, then it was taken out when we went to a longer one. So anyway, that had been our decision at the time, but this is a straw poll now.
Okay,
Biggest problem I have with this, other than the EPA language in it, is that Grand County should consider establishment of a water advisory committee.
Yep.
Another set of bureaucracy that will end up entangling this county and this water right for who knows how damn long. No, Obi, no, but heck no,
You know, we could be on it.
no, it's
I vote for that.
I could,
If you couldn't hear me, I can get louder.
Okay,
I'm a good coach. I yell good.
hey, so before we go into changes, or do you want to go into what you would change on here?
I don't know, yeah.
Let's do a straw poll. Who would like to include OB's proposed section 3.2 drinking water protection to the water preservation for public hearing on June 8th? I would. Mary and Obi? Who would not?
No, there are some changes.
Okay, what changes would you like to see?
I kind of agree with Randy. One of my friends is a hydrologist at USGS. She can't be on that board. She probably knows more about water. She did all these studies. She can't say anything about it. She's one of the best experts in this area on, but when we talk about experts, there'd have to be like people retired from this. Also, I kind of think that those experts, we just kind of have to work within the county. That's WISA, that's our service providers. Okay, and then, so that kind of cuts out one, like those 3 bullet points. But I'd really like to be like, advise, is this as a planning document in the general plan? Be like, yeah, we do need to kind of like what I found, Randy, with the sole source aquifer thing, it's really convoluted. There's a lot of different sections, and it would be nice if all the use standards and things were packaged up really tightly because what's gonna happen is, or when we rewrite this land use code, they'll have this language, they'll look at this and be like, oh yeah, this is where we're gonna put the sole source aquifer, not buried within the whole thing. That's all I'm saying, is that we need to look at this and make sure it's the best practices, both for the property owners and us. That's where I'd see.
Can you make a note that when we do land use code
Yeah.
revisions, that we make it a point to discuss sole source?
We've already got sole source protection
Like their own
in the county,
discussion item.
don't we?
Can I address that?
Please.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, we
That's what I
do,
read.
but it's really messy and disorganized, and I don't think it really, for me, it was hard to understand. The uses are here, this is over here, it talks, I feel like it's antiquated, Brandy, and I think you would probably benefit as a property owner if we kind of were like, hey, this is a priority.
Well, I'm fine, but I don't think it belongs in this.
That's what we.
This
just
is the
voted.
general planning document that says, hey,
Okay.
this is a thing that we should look at.
Something we need
Yeah.
to look at, but not today.
But I would like to, when we do land use code revisions, I would like to have this be its own discussion item, because I do think that it's important
Okay,
that
I'm
we,
fine with that.
that we correct it in every place in the land use code to make sure it is consistent.
Okay. So
But I think it would help if this was in the general plan to say that, not like I promise to do this when the time comes.
Right,
Like if this is in this document, it's like, yeah, this is gonna get looked at.
It's already in the document in several places.
No, we haven't approved, none of us have agreed to do this yet. It's just, I mean, we're writing an IOU to the future of like, we'll address this. Maybe-
well, and we'll include this for the public hearing. But not in the preservation,
If
Right.
you've got it down to where it's, the land use code should address up to date,
Design
Okay, so-
standards and regulations.
design standards.
Yeah,
I mean, we can stick that
I would
in,
give
we
that.
can put that in as a bullet,
That.
right?
I don't know.
I think that'd be a great place to put it.
The rest of it, sorry, Obi, I like it, but. I just, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's the
could put,
compromise I can. live
I
with.
could put that in as a bullet.
What page, Mary?
I am thrilled that we could come up with some sort of compromise on this. Okay, we are on page 10 still, but that was Obi's proposed 3.2, so we have 3.3, 3.4, and 3.5, if anyone has changes to those. Or we could include 3.6 since there's not much on it. Good, okay, page 13, section 4, water use conditions. I I personally would like to include the Gwissa culinary outdoor, I think we all agreed to.
That
Include
separation.
the-
between the
yeah.
culinary and- No problem.
Any other changes on page 13?
Yeah, so on page,
Okay.
let's see, I think it's, I hope I get this. Oh boy, let's see. 4.2. Oh, yes, page 13 on the 4.2. I think we just want to say reducing per capita growth use over time is necessary to offset the effects of population growth rather than maintaining. So I would get rid
Or
of
maintaining
maintaining
out.
or, and just doing reducing would do it.
Sounds good.
Anything else, Obi?
Nope.
Okay, page 14, key findings. Okay, page 15, section 5, effective development on water demand.
Let's see, I've got something in section of 5.2, but let me just see it. But maybe I'm in the wrong, oh, yeah. So this is terrible, Andrew. I think I got, of course, to drop this graph, but here it's kind of odd because it goes under the baseline scenario, the target demand increases through 2060 under the moderate one. I think it would be hard for people to know because they don't know what those demands are, like under the baseline total demand would increase.
Yeah, and that was to delete that chart, so.
Yeah, so maybe you need to put in there something about one of these scenarios is a 20% reduction and another is a 30% reduction, and something about you're kind of combining this with population growth. So right now it just kind of seems pulled out of the air, and I know why it seems that way in part.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Lost your graph, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay. Section 6, methods of reducing water demand for future development.
Section 6.
Oh, let's see.
I get on that 6.1, this is where the large lot, water intensive development, that's where I have that, and there's also places where I feel like it's all about like how much, like, if you live in an area that like, you have enough space that it doesn't make tumbleweeds and cheatgrass, like I'm thinking Kayenta Heights. They don't need landscape at all, and it's great. That's large elements that, they're a large lot, and they don't use any water up there. So I always think of counterexample
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that. So,
The problem is up in that whole East Bench up there, getting that secondary system over there would be incredibly expensive.
I'm just saying it's an example that of large lot development that doesn't use any water, and that's what we kind of want in some ways.
And two, I think this also goes with what was the suggestion in section 11, the conclusion, that additional opportunities for recharge need to be pursued. So part of that, there's that debate of, okay, we're going away from the irrigated orchards, we're going into houses, and then do we restrict the watering of ones that were orchards, and how does that impact that recharge?
Mhm.
So if somebody's got water rights that they purchased and they're have irrigation, you good?
Okay. I know this is general, but this is our one trick, is to get irrigation down. And boy, do I have a lot of ideas about it, and it would be like, I mean, I told Ben, I'm like, if you gave me a grant, I could reduce water in this valley by 500 acre feet in a year. And,
Do tell.
oh yeah, I set up people's irrigation systems. They are so inefficient. People have no clue what they're doing. They just add emitters, they just add things. And I don't know if this is the place in the document to put it. Is with our landscaping ordinance, I'm like, man, if everybody had their own meter, not GWISA supplied, their own meter. And GWISA supplies secondary, you'd be like, oh my God, I looked at a buddy's of mine, he didn't realize he used 20,000 gallons of water on his little tiny yard. And he was arguing with his girlfriend. She's like, yeah, I use 3,000 gallons. And if GWISA, like, I'm just saying there's a lot of things in there that the county, if we were serious, if they ponied up the money, we could really take a bite out of that. And it's like, I don't know, it's just like, we have on here like, smart irrigation controllers, no one uses those, and they don't work that well. But if we had a meter on that would, like, the return on that. I also was like, hey, GWISA should, and this is GWISA, not us, but maybe we should be like twice a year or yearly, you get something mailed to you that explains it, how much water you use. And it's like, hey, we think you use this much in your yard. It's going to start costing a lot more. And this is how we can help you. Because the American consumer, they just are gonna be there. I just see people paying. They're like, oh my God, it's driving me broke, but I've got $10,000 invested in my landscaping. Will you pay an extra $100 a month? Yeah, they'll do it. And it won't, like, GWISA will have to, like, they were like, yeah, maybe Park City charges $35 1,000 gallons. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But if that's where they're gonna go, that's gonna hurt people. And we need to be like, hey, this is, I don't know. I know we don't want another board, but give me a voluntary irrigation task force. I swear to God, I'll be on there, first one, and I can knock people's irrigation down. And that's where I'm also, this is another point in the document. We have culinary water, secondary water. And because no one sees it, because it's this new idea, I think it's third sort permanent secondary water needs to somehow be in this document. So we start using this term. Ben looks at it and is like, oh yeah, secondary permanent water, like it's a term that needs to start being used.
Isn't 6.3 addressing that?
It doesn't
Yeah, I think.
encourage use of secondary water, but it doesn't say permanent secondary water.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying it's a term that we need to start using if we're gonna address this like seriously.
Get to permanent secondary water.
Imagine you were pumping from the Colorado up to Ken's Lake. Imagine we had that pipeline. That's gonna be pressurized. It's gonna be, and maybe we could have it.
Well, we have the delivery system.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we put it in and we didn't put it far enough below water or ground so it was freezes. I'm like, oh man, that was a lost opportunity to reduce home usage by 30%. Like, that's an important thing. I'm just kind of like,
It's,
I'm planning for 60 years here.
so looking at metering of the secondary
too.
system plus permanent secondary.
Just like, I guess if this is planning document, I don't know if this is the right spot, guys, but it's just like
Yeah.
better landscape standards beyond that turf buyback program. I think we could really, I'm serious, I could really take a bite out of people's usage, but.
I would wanna run that term permanent secondary water by WISA before we throw it in.
Well, it's kind of like, they were like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm not speaking for Ben, but it's kind of like an idea that they were like, oh yeah, you're right, kind of thing. But if we start using it, they start using it, then it becomes like a word virus, right? We start being like,
That's just a guy.
it's good,
It's not
Yeah.
standard yet.
yeah, I don't know,
Thank you.
yeah.
So add metering onto the secondary system, so that just encourage use of secondary system, encourage use of metered secondary. system.
Joe, because Quist is already metering secondary systems, we need to encourage usage of metered
Permanent.
culinary water that people are using. Cause they will, like from their cold dead hands, are they gonna release that water? And it's like, this is something, and I hate to say it, like when I talked to Ben about it, we don't check backflow, we don't, like, these are things where it's like, hey, we need to kind of start taking seriously these things, so it's like, hey, you're using culinary water, not using backflow. You know, like, you need anyways, yeah.
But what Aaron said was to put in, encourage the use of permanent secondary water. That was.
Yeah, yeah, and then interject a third term, that a definition that we use, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? You think that's, like, why is it, I don't know. If your thumbs up, thumbs down.
My first time
Yeah.
hearing about
Just
it.
implementation on that, to encourage is one thing, but to demand it, I already have to put a fallback meter, we do a production meter, all of that stuff on every house I've built in the last, 10 years.
The list that
A lot of
we're
stuff.
trying to do in this county is pretty major, Randy, like, it's gonna take major funding, and it's like, they're just gonna jack up our rates. And it's like, I don't know,
Lehigh,
yeah, I get it, I get what you're saying.
Lehigh City took their culinary water system, converted it to secondary, put in a new culinary system.
Yeah,
And so they do have the depth
yeah,
on the pipes that they can continue to do that.
we do not.
Ditch is what costs the money. Right there.
Okay,
I'll add a bullet for permanent secondary water.
Thank
6.3.
Good bullet.
can we move on to? Everyone go with 6.6 and 6.7? Okay, section 7. Methods of reducing water demand for existing development. WISA has proposed including culinary water in the title.
And I don't think that's necessary.
You don't think it's necessary?
No,
Okay.
because it doesn't say culinary in the state
Okay.
code, it says reducing water demand.
Okay. Any other changes on page 19? Section 8. I'm just gonna skip over key findings unless someone wants to, we'll just go section by section. So section 8, county operational improvements to eliminate water waste.
Alright. That's it, not on this.
Oh, I'm sorry, can I say
Yeah,
something?
go.
I just got a text that they just took my dad to the hospital, so I'm always going to, yeah, they live in
This
Colorado.
is breaker one.
No.
Going to, no,
Okay.
Okay, I took out my phone.
yeah, so you're.
Okay.
Come on.
Sorry.
See you, Sarah. Hope everything's good.
Okay, section 8. Aaron has thoughts.
If we are going to be taking the people's grass, then we need to have the people have places where there is grass. I was I was running my neighbor's dog on the Mormon church over there on Locust. And I was like, this is luxurious. And I'm like, man, like, it is a public resource. And I just, like, I bristle at the idea of, like, you know, if we're taking this away from everybody, is there a public place where it can still, like, you know, roll around in the grass like the rich water barons we are, you know, it's like.
Golf courses.
Yeah, I guess that would be my, look, cause we're talking about stripping this, and I was like, man, it just like. You know, I was laying out in Old City Park, even, you know, it was just like, man, this is nice.
Be careful, not everybody cleans up that.
I know, so.
That
That's
says no dog.
that's just my like faux hill to die on.
Okay,
I was saying earlier to Mary, I lost my front lawn and it not having grass.
it's fine turf,
Yeah, there we go.
artificial turf, beautiful stuff.
All right, section 9, regional collaboration.
I think we've done a good job with that, we haven't been here. It's awesome.
Goals, policies, and implementation. And then section 11, conclusion.
By the way, there is a goal for each section, so if you go back to like goal 6, that goes back to section 6.
Okay. Conclusion, section 11, is that where you are?
Yeah, conclusion.
Got it.
There, that's just.
How do you feel about page 28 with the phasing strategy? Kind of a, yeah, kind of a short-term system expansion, long-term.
There's your turf conversion program.
I love grass.
So leak detection and advanced metering.
Maybe that's where some of this permanent secondary.
Well,
To go?
isn't the turf conversion, isn't gonna get rid of all your grass, you just have to.
Whatever you want to get paid for. But then when commercial, when commercial, non-residential uses go in, if they have a skirts turf, but if they do have turf, it needs to be a wider strip, so you're not just spraying, overspray.
Okay.
So anyway, I just want to make sure everybody's okay with that.
Yeah.
Section 11, conclusion.
Sure, don't need one.
Brenda, how do you feel about this plan?
Oh, I, like I said, I think last time, that the best thing for the people of Fiji was when we got hit with a whole bunch of hurricanes. And we found those areas that were weak and those areas that were strong, and we're able to strengthen the weak areas and preserve the strong areas. And so the hurricanes that came in and just because then we had a massive super hurricane that came and hit, and it did very little damage. And the only people that died were the ones that tried to cross swollen streams, right? So those other ones. So I think all this stuff, it's taken a while, but I think all of these suggestions and everything are kind of those strongest to weak spots that need to be strengthened and what things are good and moving forward. So
The hurricane will be after this summer.
That's right. County council.
Oh, now this summer is so dry, I'm just like, oh, we haven't seen this, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've seen,
Oh,
it's been a while, but we've seen.
yeah. There you go.
So what so Andrew, will you make these changes and send them out to us?
Yep.
Okay. And then
Sure.
public hearing, public comment.
I can direct staff to schedule a public hearing.
Okay. Are you guys okay with me tabling the data center conversation? Cause I want to have this conversation, but it is almost 8 o'clock.
And I love that, that's nice.
Yes.
You're good on that, Obi?
Yeah,
Can we set a timeline for a 10-minute thing? Talk about discussion for a minute, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And like, we'll take like 5-minute time thing and then. And then,
You're talking about tonight?
yeah,
Oh, about the.
It's 5
data center?
minutes.
yeah, can we just talk about that for 5 minutes?
Yeah, but I would still like to add it as a future
Oh, yeah,
discussion
yeah.
item
Right.
too,
No, no.
because I do
I
think
feel
that
you.
we should have this conversation.
Mhm. And I'll keep talking.
And I've got a whole bunch of backstory on the Santa Cruz one.
Okay.
Do you
I'll
wanna
start.
do it?
Are you gonna talk for the whole 5 minutes?
No.
Okay, we have 10 seconds.
I'm gonna let Aaron go first.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, me go first? Okay. Andrew, I had some things on here. I went deep into the power lines and power grid here. We have the largest gas line, like it goes from Texas to I feel like you were saying it can't happen here because of infrastructure, and I'd like to say, kind of dove into it about the
Yeah.
electrical use, the gas line use, it's there.
It's
We
not-
have light industrial zone north of the river. We have light industrials in Thompson. I just think that we need, in Cisco. We have water, we talked about we're bringing water, Cisco Thompson. And that's, and we have nuclear ambition. And, I think those are the ingredients that would allow it to happen.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of
Okay.
said with this, it's got this information has a lifetime.
Mhm.
That's very short, because if we get to the mini fusion nuclear plants, that's gonna change everything.
Yeah.
And the military actually is already there.
Mhm.
They can go into wherever in Afghanistan and power up a whole area for their military.
Maybe not Afghanistan.
Yeah. They can do some incredible things, right? Drop it.
Think we lost
Power,
that.
right? And like with Santa Quinn, so that there is the Kern River pipeline that goes on the western boundary of Santa Quinn. There were a family greenhouses that were there. And the gas company didn't want to bring a line over, so Santa Quinn declared themselves a gas utility. And they created Santa Quinn City Gas Utility. It brought in the infrastructure over and provided gas service to everybody. And so that's where this data center in South Santa Quinn, in the Summer Ridge area, it's because Santa Quinn has its own natural gas. Well, they ended up selling it off to a gas company, but that's how it started. So it's significant gas infrastructure there, but then also Santa Quinn in the Summer Ridge area has this state of the art reusable water where they're taking the water, they're reusing it over and over again. So that also that helps them be viable. But yeah, I mean, there's Micron, when Micron first announced that it was going in at Point Mountain, chips were like $7,000 a meg, and these was big wafer things, right? And then by the time they broke ground, and it dropped from 7,000 to 700. By the time they completed, it was $7. And so they had this building, it's like, we can't afford to run it, right? And then you also have these areas that come in, data centers, and then they may have a 4-year lifetime. So you may have somebody who's doing a 25-year tax increment financing on something that's gonna be gone in 4 years. And you've had the one of those in Eagle Mountain just announced a
Eagle
week or
Mountain?
two ago that they were, what's that?
Eagle Mountain?
Yeah, they've got a huge area for data centers, and they just announced one of them, one of their first ones, that they didn't get their contract renewed with Facebook, and so.
I didn't think Eagle Mountain even went up commercial.
Oh, they've got this, so what they did, what Eagle Mountain did, and they do have commercial there, but what they did was they said, okay, we're not gonna get a lot of industry, et cetera, to come out here. So what do we have? They're like, well, we have a lot of area that isn't surrounded by residential uses. So that's like what we can do that, and data centers was one of the main land uses that they came up with. And so they created the data center industrial park, and that's all that's there. But they've got some of the first ones now have aged out, And so they're firing all their employees, et cetera. So it's an interesting thing that
I had 10.
So I would just like to think on our discussion, I'd like to recommend that we recommend a moratorium on data centers in the county for at least 6 months until we can come up with a strong plan in case something gets vested. So, sorry, it's 5 minutes exactly.
10 seconds. I did just listen to an excellent podcast on, and it was literally like just put out a few days ago on local land use authority and data centers. So I'll send it out. You guys can listen to it or not. It was actually out of the Deseret News, which is a very conservative newspaper. So I think it's worth listening to and what Utah, whether it's municipalities or counties are doing at a local level. I'll send it. Again, listen or not.
We don't have any.
So I do want to put it as a future discussion item. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing those.
It's
Hopefully my kids are not fighting out. Hopefully they're still fun.
My boys are.
Yeah. I finally broke down and got out of your phone and she called me and was like,
Only about it.
it just down the house. It just may be involved.
I just think it's like.
It's so still.
But I visited my mom, there's like 3 of them.
Well, I was surprised at how many there were listed in here when you brought up the count or even county.
Sounds good.
It's pretty common, wrestling with staff, it was really nice. So, no, it was really good, I appreciate it, it was well timed, so thank you.
You're very right.
Mary's a treasure.
Yeah.
It was
Appreciate that.
very good, so I just wanted to get some wisdom. Guys, have a good night. You want to run out this place?
I got keys.
Oh, you do, okay.
Yeah.
Aaron?
Hey, thanks a lot, Brian.
Someone's got to protect staff.
Poor Andrew, man. Well, Lisa, do you work over, I mean, do both of you, it's just two?
Yeah, and
In county purgatory.
That's okay.
so I do have to say, we had a opening for a planner, we won the internal opening, and Lisa applied for that, and so I was working with her on.
I honestly wanna do
Yeah.
it, I hate plumbing.
We're probably gonna have an opening for a building official or a.
Yeah,
There you go.
my apprentice is like, man, I should just be.
Gonna volunteer sometime if we can. Thomas.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Man, that.
I will bring Elliot, he's a treasure.
Bring Elliot.
Yeah, she got the dog, right?
There you go.